Richard, how difficult is it to diagnose Parkinson's disease?
It really depends on the presenting features, as all the patients can present in very different ways. A lot of patients ask me, how do I know if I've got it? And the problem with that question is that there's no test to determine whether someone's got Parkinson's. It's based on clinical experience and clinical assessment. So while in many cases it's fairly straightforward, when it presents a little bit atypically, it can take some time to get to the bottom of things.
You mentioned the symptoms of Parkinson's. What are the kind of signs that you would look for in trying to make a diagnosis of the disease?
There are several typical signs of Parkinson's, and most of them relate to how it physically presents. So we look for things such as tremor, although not all of our patients get tremor, as well as slowness of movement or bradykinesia, and rigidity. And this is perceived by patients as stiffness, maybe in their hand movements, with a bit of loss of dexterity. Later on, patients will present with problems of imbalance as well, but that often occurs a little bit further down the track. So it's not often something that we see up front.
And would you say it's more difficult to diagnose Parkinson's in someone younger than someone older? And if it is, why is that so?
Just because it's less common in people that are a bit younger, certainly under the age of 40, you have that, you're always trying to think about what else it could be. So it might take a little bit more time in that respect. But also, the actual physical symptoms can be a little bit different in that younger cohort. So they might present with a little bit more stiffness or what they might describe as cramping in the feet when they go for a run or something along those lines, which may not alert you to the diagnosis straight away.
How debilitating can it end up being, particularly for someone so young?
Look, pleasingly, if we're talking about the young onset group of patients, one of the features of that group is they respond really well to the medication. We might sort of plan their treatment program a little bit differently to someone else. So to try and do everything we can to delay the onset of any significant disability. And in any patient with Parkinson's, our goal is to support them so that they maintain full independence and can do the things that they want to do with their life, albeit with some of the problems that Parkinson's will present. So while some people will progress to a very severe impact on their independence and mobility, that's a relatively small proportion. And with the number of various treatments we've got now, we seem to be able to delay that a bit longer.
Oh, that's really promising news. Can you describe for us some of the main or the best treatments for addressing Parkinson's?
The cornerstone of our treatment for patients with Parkinson's is to replace their dopamine levels. Dopamine is an important neurotransmitter that is deficient in patients with Parkinson's disease. And so really what we're trying to do mainly is to supplement their stores of dopamine with a medication called levodopa, which is converted into dopamine. And there are also some more so-called advanced therapies or device-assisted therapies, such as deep brain stimulation, which we can use to limit the extent to which patients become dependent on their medications.
And what about in terms of lifestyle? How important is exercise or a particular level of fitness in this disease?
It's a good thing you asked that, and my patients will tell you that I bang on about this incessantly, because really when we treat patients with Parkinson's, there's only so much the medications can do. And really, if you look at the literature, there's a lot of evidence to support the fact that patients who are able to exercise more will end up delaying any onset of disability that accrues because of the Parkinson's. So while the medications are crucial and they're very important, we find that the exercise is almost equally as important in maintaining patients' quality of life.